Greetings all, I'm Aaron Mills, and welcome back to Legacy of the Pink Panther, a 12-part retrospective on the films and cartoons of the Pink Panther franchise. Last time, we looked at how the Mirish Company, the backers of the films to this point, decided to go ahead with a third Inspector Clouseau film without Peter Sellers or Blake Edwards. It did not go well, and as a result, the series was mothballed for almost 6 years. In the early 1970s, Edwards wrote a 20-page treatment for another Pink Panther film and presented it to Walter Mirish. Mirish loved the idea and was eager to go ahead with the film, but United Artists refused to have anything to do with it, considering both Edwards and Peter Sellers' box office poison at this point, since neither of them had had a hit film in some time. It seemed that the franchise was gone for good. Then, Edwards entered into a deal with famed ITC producer Lou Grade. The deal was basically this. Grade wanted Edwards' wife, Julie Andrews, to star in a TV series for him. In return, he was willing to bankroll 2 films for Edwards to direct. The first of these was The Tamarind Seed. The second project was supposed to be a Canada-set film called Rachel and the Stranger, but Grade hated the idea and offered to buy Edwards out of the second film. Edwards, however, was looking to restore his reputation in Hollywood and pushed to make another movie. Things are a little muddled as to what actually happened here, but Grade claimed in his autobiography that he suggested making another Pink Panther film, to which Edwards agreed if Grade could convince Peter Sellers to do it. Grade managed to do so, and production was on. However, United Artists still wanted nothing to do with Edwards, but agreed to sell the rights to the movie to Grade in exchange for a share of the profits and distribution rights. Grade claims he offered to bring in a UA exec as a partner, but they declined. As a result, this is the only movie in the series that is not today owned by MGM, who also own United Artists. As it turns out, UA was going to be kicking themselves for a long time coming, as this movie turned out to not only be the most financially successful in the series, it's considered by most fans to be the funniest film in it. So let's see what happens as Clouseau once again finds himself on the trail of the most fabulous diamond in the world, in the return of the Pink Panther. The film opens, naturally, in the small country of Lugash, now firmly established as being in the Middle East. Actually, before we go any further, I need to retract one of my earlier criticisms from the first video in this series. Back when I was talking about the original Pink Panther, I made the case that there was a problem with Lugash since it was established as a Middle Eastern country and all the costumes and sets and so on were reflecting India rather than the Middle East. Well, as it turns out, I was wrong. The country of origin is never mentioned by name in the original Pink Panther, and it's not until this film that the country becomes known as Lugash and is firmly established as being in the Middle East. So, yeah, I kind of screwed up on that, and I apologize. In a museum, we see a tour group being escorted into the room where the Pink Panther diamond is on display. The tour guide gives some information on the history of the diamond, and in response to questions from the group, demonstrates the security measures protecting it.
The Pink Panther is protected, and by forces more impenetrable than any army. Observe. Deactivate. Failing the radar shield, the slightest release of pressure in the weight of the diamond, and the would-be thief is a prisoner of the Pink Panther.
Is it just me, or does anybody else out there think that showing off your security measures to a tour group is an inherently bad idea? Well, it certainly proves to be, because right after the obligatory animated opening titles, we see someone breaking into the museum and stealing the Pink Panther. And this would be bad enough, except they leave behind a very familiar calling card. Yes, it would appear the notorious Phantom is once again back in action, and after the prize that eluded him so many years ago. The head of the Lugash police force takes a meeting with 2 of his underlings, most notably Colonel Sharkey of the Secret Police, the man in the suit. While Sharkey and the other official get into a pissing contest over who's taking the theft the most seriously, the general announces he's bringing in outside help. 3 guesses who that is, but even this might not be as easy as it sounds, because it seems that Clouseau has fallen on hard times. For reasons which aren't explained, Clouseau has been busted down to walking a beat, and while doing so, he encounters a street performer and his chimp outside of a bank. This leads to one of the most hilarious exchanges Clouseau has had with anyone in the entire series.
You play that thing and people give you the money.
People give the monkey the money.
It is the same.
Oh, not at all, monsieur. I am a musician, and the monkey is a businessman. He doesn't tell me what to play, and I don't tell him what to do with his money.
Monsieur, don't try to be funny with me. He is your monkey, therefore it is your money.
He lives with me, but he is not my monkey. One day I came home and I found him sitting in the living room. I let him stay, but he pays for his own room and board.
Then the monkey is breaking the law.
But he doesn't play any musical instrument.
City Ordinance 132R prohibits the begging.
How do you know so much about city ordinances?
What sort of stupid question is that? Are you blind?
Yes.
Oh, I see, yes. Yes, of course. Well, you happen to be talking to a police officer. And because I expect to be transferred back to the detective division at any moment, I will let you off this time with just a warning.
Thank you, Monsieur Argent.
But you must get yourself a proper license.
First thing tomorrow.
Try to do something about your filthy monkey.
And of course, Clouseau's failure to even notice the bank robbery in progress means he gets called on the carpet by his boss, the long-suffering and now Chief Inspector Dreyfus.
How do you know he was blind?
Because he told me so.
Oh, he told you so. And you believed him?
I'd no reason to doubt him.
Do you believe me if I tell you that I'm not going to get you suspended for 6 months? Do you believe me?
If you say so, sir, yes.
Because I'm a bigger liar than the beggar. You are suspended for 6 months without pay.
6 months?
Effective immediately.
Sir.
What? It's a birthday gift from my wife.
Most realistic.
Get me the commissioner.
Yes, but since France and Lugash have been allies for nearly 200 years, it might be a serious mistake to send someone who is, I see.
Yes, of course. Very good, Commissioner.
Seems the Shah of Lugash telephoned the president personally and asked for Clouseau to be assigned to the case.
The Shah of Lugash.
Incredible.
All right, Francois.
The Shah of Lugash.
Oh, we're not done with the lighter gag yet. Not by a long shot. After returning home and having the usual ambush fight against Cato, Clouseau gets the call that he's back on the force. Except...
All right, I'll get it. Thank you. Yes, that split-second timing when instinct tells you that... Ha! Ah!
The wave of assassination. An opposition spokesman has categorically denied.
What seems to have stopped? Probably due to the explosion. You need a new flint. Well, Chief Inspector, until we meet again and the case is solved.
Solve it, idiot.
Don't just stand there, idiot. Call a doctor, and then help me find my doze.
I told you we weren't done. But let's catch up to Clouseau and Lugash.
It is my guess that you will find it is English wax.
Why?
Because your thief is an Englishman.
How do you know that?
It is my business to know that. He is Sir Charles Phantom, the notorious Lytton.
The Phantom.
Yes, one and the same.
His calling card.
4 years ago, Sir Charles suddenly vanished. It was rumored throughout the underworld. Given up his life of crime, but my instinct told me he would not remain in hiding for long.
4 years is not long.
Time is not the issue here. This glove is the issue here. And it signifies the Phantom is up to his old tricks. But I will catch him. I'll root him out. It won't be easy. He is a master of disguise. And undoubtedly has gone back into hiding until the heat is off.
From here, we go to the south of France, where we meet Lady Claudine Lytton, Sir Charles's wife. Yes. You may recall how I mentioned that these movies like to play fast and loose with their own continuity. Well, this is one of our first major examples of that. As she interacts with Clouseau later in the film, it becomes quite apparent that this character, this Lady Lytton, is not Clouseau's ex-wife. Which becomes kind of weird a little bit further down the line when both Capucine and David Niven reprise their roles from the first movie, and the characters are in fact married at that point. But this, I believe, has to do with the fact that David Niven was not available to make this movie. So, as a result, Christopher Plummer was cast in the role of Sir Charles, and as a result of that, because he's younger than David Niven, it was probably decided that a younger actress was needed to play Lady Lytton, and so, enter Catherine Schell. It's not really a big deal, but it's something to keep in mind because you're probably going to see other examples, and much bigger ones, of the type of flexible continuity that exists in these movies from here on out. Sir Charles reads of the theft in the paper and is rightfully angry about it as he actually did not commit the crime and resents being framed for it.
Surprised that half the police force of France hasn't descended on us by now.
But of course they will.
Without a doubt.
But if you're innocent...
Look, darling, I'm not only innocent, but I'm still smart enough that if I decided to get back in the business, I would not leave my calling card announcing the fact.
No, but will the police think of that?
No.
But you can convince them.
Not unless the real thief was caught.
But then you're lost. If the police think that you're the real thief, then who will catch the imposter?
Well, I can only think of one person, really, can't you?
Charles.
Since the alternative is prison, I don't have very much choice, do I?
And so Sir Charles heads for Lugash. Meanwhile, Clouseau seems to have picked up a stalker. As Sir Charles leaves for Lugash, he passes Clouseau on the road disguised as a pool cleaner. Clouseau is forced onto a side road where his brakes give out and he crashes into a nearby swimming pool. When Clouseau returns to the police station, we discover that his stalker is apparently out to kill him.
The other one will stop at nothing. This is the second attempt of my life. I may have caught my death of
Gesundheit.
Clouseau returns to the Lytton Manor, this time disguised as a telephone repairman. Of course, Lady Lytton sees right through his disguise and decides to help Sir Charles out by sending Clouseau on a wild goose chase to Stade.
Raymond? I'm taking the 5 o'clock plane for Switzerland. Have you got that?
Switzerland.
Have you got the merchandise?
See?
Good. I'll see you tomorrow at the Palace Hotel in Gstaad.
See?
Goodbye.
See? Goodbye.
And while Clouseau follows Lady Lytton to Gstaad, we should probably check in on Sir Charles and see how he's getting along in Lugash. After meeting an informant named Pepe in a bar, Sir Charles takes a meeting with the Fat Man, one of Lugash's most notorious crime bosses. However, he quickly finds the Fat Man is unable to help him. And then some.
Well, I need a favor from you, old man.
Of course. But first, I need your help. And my 2 associates. They're here to guard the Pink Panther.
When you finished your drink, you'll hand it over, please.
But I haven't got it.
But you took it. Oh, I wish I had, truly.
But I didn't, I swear it.
Normally, Charles, I'm a man who detests violence, but in your case, I'm forced to make a most regrettable exception.
Would it upset you too much to explain why?
Under the pretense of trying to catch the thief, the general is hurting many innocent people. And a group of my very good friends. If I give him the thief, he'll have to stop hurting them. Of course, if you didn't steal the Panther, one might almost conclude that the general, in order to get rid of his political enemies, engineered the robbery himself.
Oh, I bet he even offered a reward, huh?
A very considerable reward, dead
or alive. Yeah.
And if you are dead...
I can't prove I didn't steal the Pink Panther.
I knew you'd figure it out. Deliver the body to the general with my compliments.
After escaping the fat man's goons, Sir Charles returns to his hotel, only to find Colonel Sharkey waiting for him.
I want your cooperation in recovering the Pink Panther. The fat man seems to think that you cooked up this robbery as an excuse to do a little political house cleaning.
The fat man is not the only one with that opinion. And if you can prove that you are not guilty... you have a bad leg?
Oh, no, it's nothing.
If you can prove that you're not guilty, then I am in serious trouble. Because of the religious significance of the Pink Panther, it is imperative to the government that sooner or later the thief be apprehended and the jewel returned.
But you would prefer it to be later than sooner.
I can't tell you how reassuring it is to know that we understand each other so well.
So it would appear that the fat man's theory isn't entirely incorrect. A coup seems to be afoot in Lugash. However, it would appear that for appearance's sake, they're still looking for the Pink Panther, as evidenced by Sir Charles's visit to Colonel Sharkey's office the next day.
Now, this was the last group to go through the museum before it was robbed. You recognize any of these people?
No. No.
He appeared to study the film very carefully, and he claimed not to recognize any one of them.
No.
We questioned him 3 times about each one.
No.
You sure?
Absolutely.
This one? No. How about that one?
No.
Each time the results were identical. Little or no stress until questioned about number 3. Then, hard stress.
Number 3.
A young man. The museum guide remembers him.
Having recognized this person and fairly certain that the Lugash secret police will know he was lying about knowing them, Sir Charles goes to Peppy for help in getting him out of the country.
It's out of the question. If I go to the fat man to buy a special pass, he wants to know the reason.
Then tell him that I've threatened your life unless you help me to get across the border. Tell him that for half the sum of the reward, plus a forged pass to get you out of the country, you will deliver me into an ambush at some pre-named place of the fat man's choosing, this side of the border.
What if he doesn't believe me?
Oh, I'm sure you'll be able to convince him. And if, my dear Pepe, you double-cross me, it'll be a very long while before you give your next piano recital.
And as interesting as all this is, we should probably get back to Clouseau. Retaining the help of a bellboy at the hotel, Clouseau learns that Lady Lytton is planning to go skiing that afternoon. However, Lady Lytton changes her mind and decides to go watch a tennis match instead. Clouseau disguises himself as a housekeeper and enters Lady Lytton's room to search for clues about the merchandise he thinks she's here to receive. Now, I'm going to play you a clip from this sequence, and what I want you to do is to look at it and try to figure out what makes it so different from comedies made today.
swine bird. That is my private mustache and naughty bird. Swine.
Did you figure it out? There's no music. No music, no goofy-ass sound effects, nothing but Clouseau, a vacuum, and a smart-ass parrot. Nothing but pure, physical comedy. Comedies today try to be broad and over the top through the use of music cues and shock humor, and really, it's not necessary. Physical comedy can be done well, and it can be done without grossing anyone out or playing to the lowest common denominator. This has been the strength of all the Peter Sellers films in the Pink Panther series. Peter Sellers finds that perfect spot so you can laugh at Clouseau's bad luck and antics, but still manage to root for him. Clouseau may be a fool, but he's a fool who, no matter what happens to him or what he does to himself, manages to retain his dignity throughout all of it. I think it would be nice if Hollywood could get back to this kind of pure physical humor without all the gross-out nonsense that seems to plague comedies today. But, of course, that's just my opinion. Back in Lugash, Pepe comes through with the truck, but since he expects a double-cross, Sir Charles double-crosses Pepe first and drives the truck toward the border. However, the Fat Man's agents have also anticipated this and set up a fake detour, sending Sir Charles into an ambush. Sir Charles abandons the truck in some ruins, and while the Fat Man discovers Pepe in the fake gas tank, Sir Charles steals the Fat Man's car and makes his escape. And now I give you what may be one of Clouseau's best disguises ever.
Monsieur Guy Gadebois at your service.
How do you do? I'm Lady Lytton.
Yes, I'm here.
Oh.
I took the liberty of finding out that you're not a friend.
That depends on your intentions.
Strictly honorable, like an asteroid. A man sees a beautiful chicken, he can't help but be inquisitive, you know? Would you think it naughty of me if I offered to buy you a drink?
But you already have.
How about I buy myself one and we drink it together, huh?
All right.
Waiter, another Kahlua and ginger ale, please.
Kahlua and ginger ale. That just sounds disgusting. What? Oh no. No, 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 no. No. Miss Nightmare was right. You are a pain in the ass. Alright, fine. Okay, so this next bit is entirely unscripted. This is not a gag. This is not anything. I have not done this before. I'm doing this just to prove to all of you that this is legit. So, 1 glass of ice, 1 closed can of ginger ale, and 1 unopened bottle of Kahlua. I have not tried this until now. So here goes. That. Holy shit, look at that, it's layered. Stir it up a little bit. Okay, now it's mixed. Here's hoping. Oh god, this is gonna be terrible. You know what? I hate to say it, but it's really not that bad. Yeah. It's kind of got a caramel taste to it, actually. It's very weird. I don't know if I didn't use enough Kahlua, but it's really not that bad. And I'm not a huge fan of Kahlua because I'm not a huge fan of coffee, so... Sorry, I thought this was going to be pure comedy, but apparently not. Oh, what the hell, let's do another one. I'd help if I took the cap off first. Yes, Unscripted. I stupidly left the door open. You're hearing my sister going into her bedroom. It's fine. Told you, completely unscripted. See, caption down here. Unscripted. Quality entertainment. All right, I tried a little more Kahlua this time. Once more, onto the breach. Nope. Again. Really not that bad. Looks like Clouseau actually knows what he's talking about as far as this is concerned. Well, that was fun. Back to the retrospective. As Clouseau tries to figure out Sir Charles's location from Lady Lytton, Sir Charles himself leaves Lugash, but it appears Colonel Sharkey is right on his tail. Meanwhile, Clouseau continues to romance Lady Lytton to get information, but his usual Clouseau-ness gets in the way. Until there's a phone call for him.
Excuse me, for a moment I thought I was in your apartment.
Hello?
I am in your apartment.
It's for you.
For me? Oh. There is no need to leave on my account.
There's need to leave on my account.
Clouseau, why are you still in Switzerland?
Because I am here attempting to interrogate Lady Lytton and trying to find out where her husband is.
Her husband is in Lugash. He's been there since Tuesday.
Well, in that case, I will leave on the next available plane.
As Clouseau talks with Dreyfus, Lady Lytton drugs his drink, causing Clouseau to pass out mid-farewell. The next day, Sir Charles arrives in Stade, and Dreyfus calls Clouseau again, ordering him to arrest Lady Lytton. However, because Clouseau has no idea what to charge her with, he calls back to Dreyfus's office, only to discover that Dreyfus is on vacation. However, we get an answer fairly quickly, as it turns out that Dreyfus is, once again, the mysterious person who's been trying to kill Clouseau throughout the entire movie. So that's one mystery solved. Although that does still leave the matter of who actually stole the Pink Panther.
Come on, Claudine, please, not now. Where is it? I'm losing patience.
I should ask the hotel to send up another waiter.
I should like very much if you would hand me over the Pink Panther, if it is not too much trouble.
How did you find out so quickly?
Feminine intuition.
I thought it would take you at least another week.
You know, you are very good at what you do.
Thank you.
I was prepared to surrender my body to Clouseau if it was necessary.
Why did you do it?
I didn't. I said I was prepared to. Aren't you a little bit proud of me?
You nearly had me killed, you know.
Better than dying of boredom.
Me? Bored with you?
I'm sorry, darling. It's just that I never realized how tedious life could be for a retired jewel thief. Yuck.
Clever little beast.
Better than a hotel safe.
Oh.
Forgive the intrusion, madam, but you see before you a very disillusioned man.
Disillusioned and with a gun. He's obviously not with the hotel.
No. Allow me to introduce Colonel Sharkey of the Lugash Secret Police.
That explains the gun.
Fortunately, the cavalry arrives as Clouseau shows up to arrest Lady Lytton. No, Clouseau's not the cavalry. Dreyfus is the cavalry.
This is Sir Charles Phantom, the famous Pink Lytton, who stole the... What did you say? He was going to kill us, did you say?
Well, if you can persuade him to change his mind.
You're joking, of course.
No.
You're going to kill me as well?
With pleasure.
Is there anything I can do that will make you change your mind?
Well, there's nothing that I can think of.
Supposing that I thought of something.
For instance?
Well, for instance, supposing I told you that your fly was undone?
By a remarkable coincidence, so is yours.
Not again. Ah, I see you are familiar with the open fly ploy. Well, so am I. Oh, you also know the falling on the bed with the arm on the floor ploy. Very interesting.
You've been shot dead, you idiot.
Don't you?
And so, Dreyfus has another breakdown, resulting in him attacking the bellboy and the desk clerk. And then it's back to the museum where the tour guide gives us our epilogue.
Inspector Dreyfus was tried and found not guilty by reason of insanity. Clouseau, the famous detective, was decorated by General Gaddafi. Then he went back to France, where I believe he took over the position vacated by the madman Dreyfus. There it is, ladies and gentlemen, the largest diamond in the world, and surely the most famous, or infamous, if you prefer, the Pink Panther.
Whatever happened to Sir Charles?
As far as anyone knows, he still is living the quiet life at his villa in the south of France. Although there has been a rumor that the notorious Phantom is back at work, and although it has long been suspected that Sir Charles and the Phantom are one and the same, it has never been proved.
And that, with the exception of a couple of brief coda scenes after the epilogue, is the return of the Pink Panther. And what a return it was. This movie marks a turning point in the series. Clouseau's character is now firmly established, and the physical comedy is now coming to the forefront, something which will happen in all the movies going forward. Christopher Plummer makes for a delightful stand-in for David Niven and manages to pull off some of the action sequences in a way that it's hard to imagine Niven doing. Catherine Schell is charming and witty throughout the film, and it's always fun to see her be amused by Clouseau's antics, especially since some of the scenes show her actually cracking up at Peter Sellers' performance. Herbert Lom continues to be an unsung comic master in this movie with both the cigarette lighter gag and Dreyfus's continually deteriorating mental state. All these elements make for one of the funniest and most memorable entries in the series. The Return of the Pink Panther took in $41 million at the box office, and today, adjusting for inflation, that comes out to about $1.8 billion. That is how successful this film was. It is the 6th highest grossing film of 1975, it's the highest grossing film in the series, and is considered by most fans to be the absolute pinnacle of the entire franchise. So with all this success, where do you go from there? Well, for Blake Edwards, there was only one answer to that question. Television. But that didn't exactly work out as planned, and I'll explain more next time when the Pink Panther strikes again. I'm Aaron Mills. Join me again as we continue our look at the legacy of the Pink Panther. Cheers.